now we get to start working with power. Power. Sorry, get it? Power. Anyway, so we're going to start working on the electrical part of our chandelier. I got this really nice braided cord. You can kind of see what that looks like. Again, I'm going to put all of the part numbers and where I got them. I actually got this off of Amazon, along with, I've already done one of the little ends. I'll show you what it looks like and how to put it together in a minute as well. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to drill the holes for the cord to go through. All right, what you're going to do is make sure that you've got it going so that it's in the forward direction. Hang on to it till it's tight. That's how easy that is. Flip my board over. Remember those circles we made earlier? I'm going to drill a hole right in the middle of each one of those circles. There's one. Two. Three. How many licks does it take to get to the middle of a board? No. Don't do that. You'll end up with splinters on your tongue. I don't want to hear about it. Okay, and that's all that. Get rid of this sawdust. Whoops. Don't let it fall off. Just saying, don't let it fall off. Ooh, this thing is getting heavy now. Okay. Now, you're going to want these at all different lengths. You're going to definitely want to kind of measure out the first one. Just give yourself a general idea. This is the center. We marked the X as the spot for where our junction box is going to go. So just as a general idea, I'm going to mark this guy plus an extra 4 inches or so. Try the best you can not to tear the cloth, because it just makes it harder to keep it together to thread it through. All right, I'm just going to see where this ended up. It's a perfect size hole. It's a little too long. I'm going to actually want these hanging down low enough that they give good light, but I don't want them hanging down so far that you hit your head. So I actually cut a little more than I needed, and that's my longest run. So I'm going to cut about another, got a little bit of waste on this. There always is on the first one. I'm going to cut about 6 inches off of this guy. Actually, that's closer to 10 inches. That's what he said. And that's about perfect. You can see it's hanging down probably about 8 inches. I've got an extra 4 inches in the box. I'm going to work on the rest of my strands using this as a template. I have another one that's about exactly the same distance, so he'll be easy. And the good news is this doesn't have to be precise. These can be just a tiny bit off. Makes it unique, which is good. You don't want something to look like it's store-bought if you're making it yourself. So there's my 2 runs. Run this guy up through here. Can y'all see me? How you doing over there? Just pull him through, make sure I got 4 inches. Yeah, that's about perfect. All right, so this is a template for 4, and then I'll just repeat the process all the way through until I'm done all the way through to the middle, giving myself plenty of room for the wiring, and then finally at the very end for pulling it all together in the junction box. So I'll be back after I do all this. It's tedious. Okay, y'all, it's time to get electrified. We are going to put the ends on, so that way we have some place to screw our light bulbs in. All right, moving you to the workbench. One moment, please. Workbench. All right, so things that we must have for this project. Again, our handy dandy wire that we caught a little bit ago. Strain reliefs so that not all of the weight is on the wire. And then these handy dandy little socket kits, which I will, once again, I'll put all of this stuff up in links below so you'll know where to get this, but I'll show you how to put all this fun stuff together. All right, so I always start just with a little tiny piece of tape. Any kind of tape will do. It's kind of better if you have something that's not quite so hard to deal with, but this will work okay. If you don't do this, you're going to have all kinds of a hard time getting the fittings through the tape here, or through the around the wire, because it'll push back. Like I said, not much, just a tiny bit, just enough to make your life less difficult. And it goes in very specific order. So you've got the little nut that goes on the end, slides in, narrow in first. And you've got this little guy, and he slides in prongs first. Get him past the tape. Okay, and then next, silver side first of the kit. And I go ahead and just screw that on. Just makes it one less thing to move around on you. If you want, you can just do a single thread. Don't tighten it up much because you want to be able to move back and forth. And the second that you put that on there, it doesn't hardly move. So just be cognizant of that. All right. You are going to need your tiny little screwdriver. That's my tiny little screwdriver. Because you have a tiny little screw. Go figure. Okay, take the tape off. You can just push this nylon back. Don't need to worry about cutting it off or anything. It's all good. Okay. You're going to get your wire cutters. And this is 16 AWG solid. You can kind of see what that looks like, hopefully. So I'm going to use a 16 AWG solid slot. I'm barely cutting it down. Yeah, you can see that now. Tiny bit, not a lot. 1/4 inch-ish. Snip, twist, and pull. And ditto on the white wire, snip, twist, and pull. Okay, now just kind of twist them up a little bit. Your black is hot, white is neutral. So your black goes into your gold, and white and silver, that's about as close as a match as you get on these. So white goes into your silver. Okay? So like I said, make sure they're good and twisted up so they're easy to get in there. Want to make sure none of the little wires are poking out. If you can get them both kind of to go in pretty close to the same time, that's best. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So there's my gold, there's my silver. They're all in nice and neat, nothing sticking out. Okay, get your little bitty screwdriver, hold it kind of tight. So, and really, you can push on the wire. I'm using the fitting as leverage, and then the back of the conductor is leverage as well. So push pretty good so you keep them all nice and tight, and then screw them in. And they're a little wiggly, they're a little wobbly, but it's really not that bad. Okay, there's the hot. There goes the neutral. Screw them in pretty good and tight. Even though you don't have anything pulling on them, you still don't want them loose. It's not a good thing. Okay, so you can see they're in there. Tug, 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 tug. Nothing's coming out. Okay, so hopefully you can see inside of this little fitting there's a notch. You're going to try and line your little fitting up in there so that it's flat, nice and flat. And then basically screw this little nut on. Make sure it doesn't get cross-threaded, so like mine did. So I always do once on, once off, make sure it's not cross-threaded, and then away you go. Now this guy is nice and supported, so all of the weight is on this instead of this, which is a good thing. Okay, then this is very important. Make sure you're happy with this before you put this on. You see the little notches in here, hopefully. Once you screw this on, it does not come off, ever, ever, ever. From experience, I'm telling you, it doesn't come off. Hear the click? Okay, that's on. And this little fitting is what will go on your mason jar to hold it in. Your little Edison bulb. Ta-da! There you go. All done. Easy as that.